Have you ever noticed that some people swear by keto, or they're doing CrossFit at 5 a.m., or they're just out walking their dog and they look fantastic? They look fit, they look healthy, they look happy. And that's because there's not one way to become fit. There's not one way to become healthy. There are a million different ways and different pieces that you can put together to get to that point. And success is the exact same way. Why are we following these playbooks or these linear paths of somebody else's success, hoping that it works for us, and then we get frustrated when it's not clicking because we're not doing what is best for us? Welcome to the EnRich Your Soul Podcast. We're here to talk about how curating your own path to success is going to bring about more happiness, truly more success, but more fulfillment too, because it's hard. These kinds of goals are hard. Success is hard to chase because it's always a moving target. But if you figure out what is best for you and you put together the plan or the path or the routines or the techniques that work best for you, that make you feel good in the process, it's going to be a lot easier. But first, let's start by defining what success looks like, because you have to know what you want. You can't just chase what everybody else is doing, because like fitness, there are some people that want to be lean and have a six pack and look more defined. And then there are some people that just want to be like really bulky, strong. That's a different way. Maybe they just want to feel sexy in their clothes. Everybody's got their own definition of what success looks and feels like. And so it's understanding that business is the same way. Not everybody wants to make millions and millions of dollars. Some people just want the freedom to determine their own schedule. Some people just want the ability to be creative without judgment because they're owning their own product, they're owning their own voice and brand. And if you don't find what that is for you, you're going to keep chasing somebody else's definition of success. You're going to be running their path, frustrated, worn out, and not ready or prepared mentally to keep pushing through the tough times because you're not thoroughly enjoying what you're doing. And also keep in mind, what works for somebody else may not work for you. You've got people that are subscribing to this hustle culture. They want to grind. They want to be up at 4 a.m. and work till 3 a.m. and sleep 1 hour and drink coffee. And that's their thing. That's their zone, their flow state, if you want to use that. But then there are people that if they ran through the hustle culture, they don't have any boundaries, and that's going to crush them mentally and emotionally and physically at times. So understanding that, somebody may go through intermittent fasting, and that's the way that they feel healthier. That's the way they feel lighter or more healthy. But it may turn somebody else into an absolute hangry mess. That would probably be me. But it doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong or that you're being lazy because you're not hustling as much as that person that you see on social media that they claim to be hustling so much. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It's not you're not lazy. You're doing your thing for your reasons with your goal and your path in mind. So don't be afraid to borrow some of their ideas or some of their tactics. But build your own system, build your own schedule, build your own routine, but also build your same mindset of what your success looks and feels like, because yours shouldn't match theirs identically because you're not the same person identically. Another problem is the fact that we are in this instant gratification culture. Everything you see on social media is overnight. We can do this in a month. You can do this in a week. You can all of these things that are quick results, but true success does not come overnight. True success does not happen in a short term through cutting corners or finding some sort of a hack. That's just going to be a shortcut to something that is going to wind up causing more problems. It's all about figuring out what your path looks like and trying, failing, and adjusting. And I will say, as somebody who has lost a lot of weight and kept it off, I've tried a multitude of different ways of doing this. I've understood that there are some times where I want to do more running. Sometimes I want to do more yoga. Sometimes I want to lift. It just depends on what I need. But if I'm stuck in the idea of following somebody else's plan, I'm not going to achieve the goals. I'm not going to be able to ebb and flow and give myself the grace of adjusting to what I need in that moment or in that time period. So you've got to figure out what is best for you in those ebbs and flows of your life, and what things you need to maybe adjust and what works for you and what doesn't. I tried CrossFit for like a month, and yeah, it was a great workout, but I didn't like the way my body looked and felt when I was done with it. And frankly, it hurt at times. So I scrapped that idea. I gave it a shot. It just wasn't for me. And along the idea of this instant gratification, instant success culture, a lot of times the middle is left out. So fitness, you see before and after photos, but you don't see the 5 a.m. don't want to work out, but pushing through anyway moments. You don't see the, I feel bad about myself and I don't want to work out today. Maybe they shut down for the day because of that fact. You don't see those in between times. It's like watching a movie and seeing the opening scene and then the last scene. You have no idea what happened in the middle. There's no context. There's no story. So you can't truly buy into that. Now, if you keep sharing your story throughout and share what's working, what's not working, and just giving advice as you're sharing your path, that's completely fine. Or if you're watching someone that is sharing their path, pay attention to what they're doing, but also understand that there's going to be work in between the beginning and the finish, if there is a finish, but understanding that that middle ground is where it's all made and done. That is where your belief in your path, belief in your goals, and belief in what success looks and feels like for you will matter the most, because there will be days you don't want to work. There will be days you don't want to work out. There will be days you don't want to eat healthy. I'm living proof of it. I battle this all the time. But understanding that consistency of effort, even in small doses, doesn't have to be a grand slam home run every single day. It's just getting up and doing something that is 1% better than what it was yesterday, or maybe it's just getting up and doing something, is the success for that day, and then adjust moving forward. And you've got to understand that you've got to be graceful with your progress. Because I will say that, yes, I lost 100 pounds. Yes, I've kept it off for 26 years. Yes, there are metrics assigned to that. There are numbers assigned to that. But I will tell you this, no number on a scale, number one, is going to stay the same in one day. Your weight is going to fluctuate throughout the day. So you could weigh one thing in the morning and weigh a pound or 2 or 3 more in the afternoon because of water, because of what you've eaten, because of what you've done or not done exercise-wise. So your weight's going to fluctuate every single day. So if you're consistently chasing the metric or a certain number, that's going to be maniacal. It's going to drive you absolutely crazy. But if you think, okay, I want to feel good in these jeans, or I want to feel good going out and wearing a swimsuit at the pool, like that's more important, because that's not only adapting to the fluctuation of who you are, but it's also the psychological comfort of accepting yourself and being who you are and being okay with that. And it's the same thing with business. Like you can't, yes, there are numbers you're going to want to chase. You're going to have some sort of KPIs or metrics or goals, but understanding that just because you had a light month, 1 month, doesn't mean you can't double down the next month. It's not a finite thing. You've got to keep moving forward. And if you need to keep redefining your success, then do so. Or redefining your progress, do so. That's up to you. It's completely up to you. But the most important thing is understanding what your end game is. Understanding what the goal is. What do you want to think and feel and understand about yourself in this process? And then what does success look like for you? Get rid of anybody else's social media posts about success or hook in their sales or whatever it is that they're trying to get you to do to follow their path, because their path is theirs. And you don't see what goes on in their life day to day. You don't see what goes on hour by hour. So you've got to figure out what is most important to you. What are your goals? What path do you want to take? And also understanding that it can adjust in the way between how it gets there and then what the tactics you are to use to get there. But also understanding that there has to be a feeling attached to the success. So maybe it is freedom. Maybe it is determining your own schedule. Maybe it is only working 3 hours a day. But also it could be, I want to make $10 million. Whatever that looks like for you, own that. And if that truly matches up with your idea of happiness and success, then do that. That is up to you. But please, whatever you do, don't subscribe 100% to somebody else's path. You are running somebody else's race. You are following in somebody else's footsteps. And that's not how we are meant to move through life. Figure out what pieces and parts and things that you need to take from other people and curate what yours is. It can be the most beautiful Frankenstein project of all time. But you're putting together your path, your unique success idea, and owning that. Because it's going to be hard. I'm not going to lie. Success is going to be hard in some way, shape, or form. You're going to have to work at it. So if you enjoy what you're doing, if you are passionate about the feeling, if you are passionate about the things that you're putting into your world and into your day-to-day activities to get to that idea of success, it won't be as hard as it possibly could be. So thank you so much. I appreciate you tuning in, and hopefully this helps you take a step back and realize that your definition of success should belong to you and nobody else. So understand that you are in control moving forward. Take some time. Figure out what that looks like for you. And then move forward with the confidence of knowing what you're doing is best for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please share this with as many people as possible, because you never know who's on the wrong path themselves and just needs a reminder that it's okay to go their own way.